Disculpe, estoy buscando desde el librero.
¡Sigue! ¡Sigue! ¡Capitán Nemo! El mundo no precisa de nuevos continentes, sino de hombres nuevos.
Beneficio reprochado, ofensa hecha.
Uno para todos y todos para uno. La bravura siempre es respetada, incluso en un enemigo.
¡Sigue! ¡Ale, ale!
Gracias, D'Artagnan.
Nada era del individuo, a no ser unos cuantos centímetros cúbicos dentro de su cráneo. El gran hermano es la concreción de que el partido se presenta al mundo. Su función es actuar como punta de mira para todo. Sigue ahora que puedes.
Divide tu día en partes y a cada una asígnale una tarea, sin dejar un cuarto de hora, 10 minutos ni 5 siquiera sin algo que hacer. Cuando sea así, observarás que no necesitas compañía, conversación ni simpatía de nadie y lograrás vivir con la independencia que todo ser humano debe aspirar. Gracias, señorita Jane Eyre.
Sigue leyendo, sigue escuchando. Esto es Desde el Librero, un podcast de Librerías Gandhi. Bienvenidos, queridos lectores.
Queridos amigos, ¿cómo están? Yo soy Yara Vidal y tenemos en esta semana el paquete bonus, el doble paquete de la última parte de la entrevista que le hicimos a Drew Daywalt. Vamos a escuchar una dramatización en Escucha para Leer sobre la novela llamada Fuimos los afortunados de Georgia Hunter. Ella es autora de bestsellers según el New York Times, y en español tenemos ahorita esta novela traducida gracias a Umbriel, y ellos son un sello que maneja Urano México. La sinopsis básicamente de esta novela es que está inspirada en la increíble y verídica historia de una familia judía separada a comienzos de la Segunda Guerra Mundial, decidida a sobrevivir y a reunirse de nuevo, y esta obra es un tributo a ese triunfo, a la esperanza y esa fortaleza que el amor venció contra todo pronóstico. Espero que sea de su agrado. Comenzamos.
Si deseas ver la entrevista con subtítulos en español, la puedes encontrar en el canal de YouTube Revista Lee Más de Librerías Gandhi.
Y ahora, la entrevista con
Drew Daywalt.
Wow, what a journey. That house, a Victorian house, to the your job as a movie writer, everything is perfectly connected, isn't it?
It is. But it's built on a string of failures, though. My entire the 1990s were just failure after failure, but really getting good shots at things. I was getting the shot at the big stuff, but it was like. And I tell people, in 2003, when my movie career was starting to falter, I felt like I fell down, or I was knocked down by Hollywood, which I guess that's a little melodramatic, but, I did feel that way at the time. But truly, and I truly feel this, I was caught by a million children's hands, the kids got me. The kids, when Hollywood was, not working, I wrote this thing for children, and they went, "We get you." And all the hands held me up. And it was beautiful. It was an emotional thing. Well, in 2013, when the book hit the New York Times bestseller list, I haven't told anyone else this, but I'll tell you. Keep it just between you and me, okay?
Okay.
No, just kidding. But no, I don't. I don't. Actually, I'm gonna share this. I've never shared it before. When the Day the Crayons Quit hit the New York Times bestseller list, we were in such financial dire straits that my kids we couldn't even afford to buy meat for 2 weeks. We were in bad shape financially. And I was like, I'm 43. I should be providing better for my children. And I'm not. And I really had a crisis. And that book yanked us right out of that. And I thought, well, maybe this is destiny or something. I mean, I don't think too lofty, but maybe I finally was doing the thing I was supposed to do, because it was my journey,
Yeah. Wow, yeah, because everybody sees your book and we imagine that everything was simple, but because you make it feel simple.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. And all the journey that you are telling us about this is amazing. Amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate that very much because you found this way to be yourself. I always said that we are always trying to find that space where you fit perfectly and you feel comfortable. So in that space where you fit perfectly and you feel comfortable and you find your space in the space.
Yes.
But nobody have that being so lucky as you are or me with problems and everything. But the way that you find that when you was a kid trying to tell stories in any other way you want to tell stories and you got it, but the process is not easy. It's not an thing.
No, it's a zigzag. Your path is like, and it's for me, it was mounting failures. I was like, maybe I just shouldn't do this,
But how many of that failures are you willing to make it once again? Do you imagine your life with all that failures, or do you think, yes, I will do it once again, each one of that failures to be me?
Yeah, I would do it again. Because you know what? I think the difference between having something so wonderful happen to you at 43 versus 23 is a big difference. I couldn't have done it. I had a writing teacher at Emerson named Jack Gantos, he's a luminary now. He's won Newbery Awards, and he's a great author. He's a fantastic children's author. But at the time, he was teaching me at the end of, because I took his class a couple times. It was a creative writing class, so you could repeat it. And then finally, he's like, you can't take this anymore. And I'm like, well, I want to take it anyway. And he's like, well, you can sit there and do it, but I can't grade you. It's like, so I'd audit the class. But Jack was he became sort of my faculty advisor too. And he said, at the end of the school year, he took me aside and he said, what are you going to do now that you're going to graduate? And I said, I think I'm going to go to Hollywood. And Jack he's wonderful, but blunt. And he said, nope. Don't do it. You're not a screenwriter. I'm like, that's a terrible thing to say. And he goes, well, you need to go to New York because you're a children's book writer. He's like, I teach a lot of people and you're one of the ones who can do this. And I was like, I don't know, Jack. I want to try movies. I don't want to be Dr. Seuss now. I want to be Quentin Tarantino. And he's like, okay, good. And of course, being 23, 22, you don't listen to the guy who knows. You have to do it yourself. He's like, the stove's hot, don't touch it. And I did. And so what happened in 2013 that was kind of funny is, now that's a 20-year jump from 93 to 2013. Is that 20? Yeah, 20 years. The book comes out, it makes the New York Times bestseller list, and I get this phone call, and this older man says, is this Drew Daywalt? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I told you so, you idiot. And I went, yeah. And he's like, yeah, congratulations, kid.
Wow.
So, and I said, I said, I was going to go to New York City that weekend. And I was like, I'm coming to New York because I knew he's East Coast. And I said, when are you going to be in New York? I would love to, buy you a coffee for all the wonderful advice that I didn't take. And he laughed. He goes, no. And when we met in New York, he said, I'm glad you didn't take my advice because it might not have happened. He said, but 10 years, 20 years of, marinating in Hollywood allowed you to go and learn to write dialogue, learn character, and then bring something new to children's books because people weren't bringing that kind of colloquial, modern dialogue to characters. And he's like, that's what you've done. And he's like, I don't know that you would have done, you might have had a different journey. And I said, well, I'm glad for it too, because boy, are you grateful when you make it later in life. You're so grateful.
That was your path.
It was. It had to happen that way.
And when you see it time after, and when you see it with the distance, you understand how it happened. But that's a thing that I don't understand about your work. I need to tell you.
Okay.
Are you trying to end with all the supplies of the stores? First the crayons, then the scissors.
That's funny.
The paper. Are you going to use all the supplies?
I had an editor ask me that question about 5 years ago, and I had to think about it. She's like, "Why are you doing this?" And she's like, "It's all these little objects that in reality, they don't speak and they don't have voices." And I said, "You know what? I think I don't think, now I know. It goes back to my childhood, like most writers. Wherever you're at your arrested state of development, I'm about 8 or 9. So you take yourself back to that point. And what I realized is that at that age, I was the youngest of 6. It was a house full of, a mom and dad who are harried and working and trying to pay the bills the best they can. They both go to work and they saw extreme trauma. And when they would come home and have they're trying to have peaceful time, but they've got teenagers, somebody's, playing the electric guitar upstairs, and 2 people are blasting the TV, and one of them's arguing with somebody, and then there's one on the phone, and then 3 other kids from the neighborhood come in and start pouring themselves cereal. I mean, my house was utter chaos. And a lot of times I was the little guy. So I was constantly being told to shut up, sit down, go in the other room. You're too young to go with your brothers. You can't do that yet. I want to ride a motorcycle. No, you can't ride a motorcycle. You're 5. So I didn't know this till later, but what I ended up feeling was like I didn't have a voice. So I think I give voice to the voiceless now because of that. And I think one of the reasons that this resonates with children likely is they feel like I felt, which is no one's listening to me. No one's taking me seriously. I have a voice, I have emotions, I have all these very strong opinions, and they're telling me to, sit in the back seat and buckle up, and I don't get a vote. And I feel like by giving these characters voices, that's clearly what Crayons is about. If you want to psychoanalyze it, it's like, wow, they don't get a choice. Duncan grabs them and he's going to do a fire engine, whether you like it or not. And they're like, no. And then the scene goes for most of my books is somebody, and I didn't know it till an editor pointed it. It's like, as an author, you just don't know. You need critics and you need editors to tell you someone else has to psychoanalyze you. And then you go, oh, I think they're right, or they're dead wrong. But in this case, I think they were right, because I want kids to feel heard, and I want them to feel loved, and I want them to laugh. And I think if I can get mom and dad to laugh, because the jokes are for them too. If mom and dad can laugh, the children can laugh with them. And I've created community in a family, and also hopefully given voice to the voiceless. Yeah.
Wow. And at the end, we are just like terror monsters looking for love.
Exactly. Isn't that the truth? We're just like monsters who want love. We're very simple creatures. Feed us and hug us and we'll be fine.
Yeah. Of course, we will. Yes, when I bought, I was on Houston when this book was released, and I bought it because I know what I'm not personally, but I used to be children's book designer before being a writer, and I designed some of Adam books into Spanish. So when I saw this, I said, "Oh no, this guy is going to end with all the supply store."
I have one book that I just wrote. It's called, I'll tell you. It's about, those. Did you guys play with those fortune teller, the paper things when you were little?
Yeah.
It's about one of those, and it's a fortune teller, and she gets lost at recess, and she befriends a potato chip with a bite out of his head. And they have a journey. And I modeled the journey after The Lord of the Rings, and I managed to get it in under 1,000 words, so I'm pretty proud of that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, okay, I have a game for you. Let's play rock, scissors, and paper.
Okay.
If you win, I will not make you the last difficult question.
Okay.
But if I win, I will make it.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, and then go.
Okay.
All right. 1, 2, 3, go.
No way.
That's crazy. All right, you and me, we got to do 23 and me and figure out where there's something happening here, man.
Well, doesn't matter. The last question is, tell me a joke.
Tell you a joke. Oh my goodness, that is a difficult one.
Yeah, I know it.
You know what? I will tell you a joke that my daughter made up when she was 4. So it's a brand new joke. It hasn't been published. It's not anywhere, but it made me laugh. As a dad, I was a stay-at-home dad too. I would write and I would take care of the kids. Let's see if I can remember how it went. What does a cow say when you stand on its foot?
I don't know.
Move. Okay, so that goes over really well with kindergartners.
No, it's very good. It's very good. And how much did you enjoy your kids at kindergarten and in that time you wasn't the famous writer as you are today, but
no, it was so fun. I think I'm just made for kids that way because I'm one. Some of us just don't grow up. I'm just fortunate that I have the same sense of humor as a grade school child because I actually miss it. Now they're 14 and 20. And this is terrible, but I can't wait for grandchildren. It's like, but I won't say anything. They're too young, obviously. But I look forward to the time when I can, get the grandkids and do the same stuff with them because I love it. I love the joy and I love the exploration and the curiosity and sometimes the insanely blunt honesty. You got a big nose, your beard's weird, all that stuff. I think that's the greatest. Like, I did a school visit last week on the East Coast and I was reading Rock, Paper, Scissors, and one little kindergarten girl in the front row said, "You're not reading it funny enough." And the teachers were trying to correct her. They're like, no, be nice to the author. I'm like, no, you don't understand. That makes my day. That's awesome. Yeah, so I got down and I said, okay, so I'm not being funny? She's like, no, you're not funny at all. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to make it funny. And then another girl, she'd pile on. She's like, and read it slower. You're reading it too fast. And the teachers were like, they were panicking because they were like, oh my God, our kids are being terrible to this author. And I'm like, no, I'm a dad. B, I've done a lot of these readings, so I get it all. It's like, there's not a big difference between like, a kindergarten class picture book reading and like doing stand-up comedy at 2 a.m. for drunks. It's a very similar experience. You just have to roll with it. But like, okay, so you want it funnier and you want it slower. I know. And then y'all just, and I was like, okay, that's slow enough. She's like, that's too slow. Okay. And then she's like, that's funny. So making kids laugh is everything to me. And, I would say the thing I'm most proud of in life is the fact that I got to be there for my kids when they were growing up and to be that dad. I had a blast.
That was one of my questions, that how difficult it is to be funny, because sometimes naturally we make some jokes and think about funny things, but when you try to write it, for example, Peter Sees, the illustrator, he was the first person that told me, you need to be a writer, you have to write. And when a few months ago, I was in the United States, in New York, presenting my first picture book and my first book in English, all that to say.
Congrats. That's wonderful. Congrats.
Yeah. And I asked him, why you said that to me when many years ago.
Yeah.
And he said, because you are funny. Yeah. But my stories isn't funny. I don't know how to write funny because, my books are pure drama.
Right.
But when I see your books, I said, I want to write funny like him. How difficult is this?
Well, you know what? The only advice I would say is make yourself laugh. Like, I am a very selfish writer when I'm writing. I'm not writing for teachers or parents or censorship councils, anything. I'm writing to make myself laugh. Like, I want to, I try to write like 3 or 4 hours a day. And I don't finish everything I want to finish on purpose because I want to come excited the next day. So it's like, I'll leave myself something hanging. Like, ooh, I want to write this next thing. Oh, but you know what? I won't. I'll save for tomorrow, so I'm excited to get back in the chair. But I make myself laugh, like, and then if it makes kids laugh, that's incidental, But I do aim for a sophistication because I find that I don't ever want to dumb anything down for kids because they can smell that. Oh man, they know it, and they just it's like broccoli mush or something. They're like, I'm not eating that. So I wanted to give them candy, but they don't know it's filled with vitamin nutrients because I want them to learn about something. Like, I may have a poo-poo joke in a book, but I'm also going to talk about Picasso. I may be I'm going to have a booger or a dog bark, but I'm also going to have a mention of like Basquiat. I want them to, like, you know what? Actually, I found Monty Python did this really well. They had such base, stupid humor, but they would combine it with like an intellectual quality that just really appealed to me. I was like, whoa, oh my gosh. They've got a bicycle race with the greatest artists, the Impressionists. Like I remember they did Van Gogh and Renoir, and these guys were in it, but they were trying to paint and bicycle race or run or something. It was just so stupid, but it was also so elevated.
Yeah.
I want 2 layers to my books, and that's what entertains me. And again, it goes back to just being a speaker. I think you should just be selfish when you want to be funny. Just go try and tickle your fancy. Just like, wow, what do I think is ridiculous and stupid? Oh, I'll try that. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It takes a lot of revision.
That's an amazing advice. I will take it. And I'll tell you later how it's going.
Yeah, send me that book. I know it'll be a book. Send it to me.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's trade books. I'll send you something.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for your time. It has been an amazing talk, and thank you for receiving us and tell us all that amazing stories. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, me too.
Si deseas ver la entrevista con subtítulos en español, la puedes encontrar en el canal de YouTube Revista Más de Librerías Gandhi.
Lee Más es la revista oficial de Librerías Gandhi, la cual la puedes adquirir en todas nuestras librerías a nivel nacional. No te olvides además que si ese mes se te fue comprar un número o quieres otro ejemplar, puedes ingresar en revistalemás.mx o gandhi.com.mx para adquirir los números anteriores por 25 pesitos.
Los gatos han llenado de pelos las páginas que escribimos desde su solo aparente domesticación. Escritores de todas las latitudes coinciden en valorar la belleza, la inteligencia y la audacia de estos pequeños adorables tiranos de 4 patas. Desde El gato negro de Edgar Allan Poe, que podría leerse como todo un manifiesto contra el maltrato animal, hasta los extravagantes nombres de la manada de Michis de Carlos Monsiváis, la literatura ha encontrado en estos animales una fuente de inspiración inagotable. En este número 179 nos dejamos llevar por los ronroneos y los maullidos. Así que encontrarás grandes recomendaciones de literatura, cómics y obras ilustradas protagonizadas por gatos en los artículos de Bev y de Raquel Castro. También descubrirás un cuento inédito y adorable de Rodrigo Morlesín, narrado por un gato librero. Antonio Malpica nos platicó acerca de la desenfrenada vida de la única gatita que ha adoptado, mientras que Brenda Ríos ahonda en aquello que nos fascina de los meninos. También incluimos en este número un póster para que nunca olvides que la vida debe vivirse mediante una filosofía gatuna, con serenidad y centrada en el instante. Para cultivar nuestra curiosidad felina, entrevistamos a 2 escritores cuyos libros están causando sensación en las librerías, Nick Bradley y Jordi Soler, así como 2 adelantos de novelas que nos engancharon desde la primera página. Un editor que admiramos profundamente, Julián Romero, nos dedicó unas generosas palabras por nuestro 15º aniversario. A él, la mente detrás de los libros de Ediciones Gandhi, le enviamos nuestro agradecimiento por proponernos que el tema de este número estuviera dedicado a los Michis. Consigue este número en librerías Gandhi, gandhi.com.mx y revistaleemás.mx, y que como los gatos, deseamos te mantengas desobediente, libre y curioso.
Esto es Escucha para leer.
Fuimos afortunados, de la autora Georgia Hunter.
Al final del Holocausto, el 90% de los 3 millones de judíos que había en Polonia habían sido aniquilados. De los más de 30.000 judíos que vivían en Radom, sobrevivieron menos de 300. Adi no tenía planeado quedarse toda la noche. Su plan era salir de Grand Duc sobre la medianoche y dormir unas cuantas horas en Gare du Nord antes de tomar el tren de vuelta a Toulouse. Ahora mira su reloj. Son casi las 6 de la mañana. Montmartre causa ese efecto en él. Los clubes de jazz, los cabarets, la multitud de parisinos, jóvenes y rebeldes, incapaces de dejar que nada, ni siquiera la amenaza de la guerra, apague su espíritu. resulta embriagador. Se termina el coñac y se levanta. Lucha contra la tentación de quedarse para otra última copa. Seguro que hay un tren nocturno que puede tomar, pero piensa en la carta que tiene doblada en el bolsillo de su abrigo y se queda sin aliento. Debería marcharse. Agarra su abrigo, la bufanda y el sombrero. Se despide de sus compañeros con un adiós y se abre paso entre las mesas del club, todavía medio llenas de clientes que fuman cigarrillos de la marca Gitans y bailan al ritmo de Time on My Hands de Billie Holiday. Cuando la puerta se cierra tras él, Adi respira hondo y saborea el aire fresco, puro y frío en sus pulmones. La escarcha de la Rue Pigalle ha empezado a derretirse y la calle de adoquines brilla como un caleidoscopio de grises bajo el cielo de finales de invierno. Sabe que para llegar al tren tendrá que andar deprisa. Se gira y echa un vistazo a su reflejo en la ventana del club, aliviado de ver que el joven que le devuelve la mirada está presentable, a pesar de haber pasado una noche en vela. Está recto, con los pantalones ceñidos a la cintura, los puños bien doblados y arrugados, el pelo oscuro peinado hacia atrás como a él le gusta, ordenado, sin raya. Se rodea el cuello con la bufanda y se dirige a la estación. Adi supone que en otras partes de la ciudad las calles están tranquilas, desiertas. La mayoría de los escaparates con verjas de hierro no abren hasta el mediodía. Algunos, cuyos dueños han huido al campo, no abren. En los carteles de los escaparates se lee «Fermé indifférent». Pero aquí en Montmartre, el sábado se ha convertido en domingo sin que nadie se dé cuenta, y las calles están llenas de artistas, bailarines, músicos y estudiantes. Salen a trompicones de los clubes y cabarets, riéndose y comportándose como si no tuviera nada de qué preocuparse. Adi hunde la barbilla en el cuello del abrigo mientras camina y levanta la vista justo a tiempo para esquivar a una joven con un vestido de lamé plateado que camina en su dirección con pasos largos.
Excusez-moi, monsieur.
Sonríe sonrojada bajo un sombrero de plumas amarillas. Adi hace una semana podría haber entablado conversación con ella.
Bonjour, mademoiselle.
Inclina la cabeza y continúa su camino. Cuando Adi dobla la esquina de la Rue Victor Massé, donde ya ha empezado a ver una cola fuera de Mitchell's, la cafetería que abre toda la noche, siente un olorcillo a pollo frito que le revuelve el estómago. A través de la puerta de cristal del restaurante, puede ver a los clientes charlando con tazas de café humeante y platos colmados de desayunos americanos. En otra ocasión, se dice a sí mismo, y sigue hacia el este en dirección a la estación. Cuando Adi saca la carta del bolsillo de su abrigo, el tren apenas ha salido de la terminal. Desde que llegó ayer, la ha leído varias veces y no ha pensado en nada más. Pasa los dedos por encima del remite. Varsovia 14, Radom, Polonia. Puede imaginarse a su madre a la perfección, sentada ante su escritorio de madera satinada con la pluma en mano, el sol iluminando la suave curva de su mandíbula. La echa más de menos de lo que nunca imaginó cuando se marchó de Polonia a Francia hace 6 años. En ese momento tenía 19 años y había pensado mucho en quedarse en Radom, donde estaría cerca de su familia y donde esperaba poder hacer una carrera musical. Llevaba componiendo desde que era adolescente y no podía imaginar nada más satisfactorio que pasarse el día frente a su teclado escribiendo canciones. Fue su madre quien le instó a solicitar plaza en el prestigioso Institut Polytechnique de Grenoble y quien insistió en que se fuese una vez aceptado.
Adi, has nacido para ser ingeniero.
Decía, recordándole la vez que a los 7 años había desmontado la radio rota de la familia, había esparcido las piezas por la mesa del comedor y luego la había vuelto a montar como si fuese nueva.
No es tan fácil ganarse la vida con la música. Sé que es tu pasión, tienes un don para ello y debes perseguirlo. Pero primero, Adi, un título.
Adi sabía que su madre tenía razón, así que se fue para ir a la universidad, con la promesa de que volvería a casa cuando se graduase. Pero en cuanto dejó atrás el ambiente pueblerino de Radom, se abrió ante él una nueva vida. 4 años más tarde, con un título en mano, le ofrecieron un trabajo bien remunerado en Toulouse. Tenía amigos en todo el mundo: París, Budapest, Londres, Nueva Orleans. Tenía un nuevo gusto por el arte y la cultura, por el paté de foie gras y la perfección mantecosa de un croissant recién hecho. Tenía una casa propia, aunque diminuta, en el corazón de Toulouse, y el lujo de volver a Polonia siempre que quisiera, cosa que hacía al menos 2 veces al año, para Rosh Hashanah y para la Pascua judía, y tenía sus fines de semana en Montmartre, un barrio tan impregnado de talento musical que no era de extrañar que los lugareños compartieran una copa en el Hot Club con Cole Porter, asistieran a una actuación improvisada de Django Reinhardt en Bricktops, o, como había hecho el propio Adi, contemplaran asombrados cómo Josephine Baker atravesaba al trote del zorro el escenario de Celis con su guepardo domesticado con collar de diamantes. Adi no podía recordar un momento de su vida en el que se hubiera sentido más inspirado para plasmar notas sobre el papel, tanto que había empezado a preguntarse cómo sería mudarse a Estados Unidos, el hogar de los grandes, la cuna del jazz. Soñaba que tal vez en Estados Unidos podría probar suerte añadiendo sus propias composiciones al canon contemporáneo. Era tentador, si no supusiera alejarse aún más de su familia. Al sacar la carta de su madre del sobre, un pequeño escalofrío recorre la espina dorsal de Adi.
Querido Adi, gracias por tu carta. A tu padre y a mí nos encantó tu descripción del Palais Garnier. Aquí estamos bien, aunque Genick todavía está furioso por lo de su degradación, y no lo culpo. Alina sigue siendo la misma de siempre, tan impulsiva que a menudo me pregunto si podría explotar. Estamos esperando a que Jacob anuncie su compromiso con Bella, pero ya conoces a tu hermano, no se le puede meter prisa. He estado disfrutando de las tardes que he pasado con la pequeña Felicia. Me muero porque la conozcas, Adi. Le ha empezado a crecer el pelo de color rojo canela. Un día de estos dormirá toda la noche. La pobre Mila está agotada. No dejo de recordarle que se volverá más fácil.
Adi da la vuelta a la carta y se remueve de su asiento. Aquí es donde el tono de su madre se oscurece.
Cariño, tengo que contarte que en el último mes aquí han cambiado algunas cosas. Rothstein ha cerrado las puertas de la herrería. Difícil de creer después de casi 40 años en el negocio. Cosman también ha trasladado a su familia y al negocio de los relojes a Palestina, después de que su tienda sufriera demasiados ataques vandálicos. No estoy contándote estas noticias para preocuparte, Adi. Es solo que no me sentía bien ocultándotelas. Lo que me lleva al propósito principal de esta carta. Tu padre y yo pensamos que deberías quedarte en Francia para la Pascua judía y esperar hasta el verano para visitarnos. Te echaremos mucho de menos, pero ahora mismo creemos que es peligroso viajar, sobre todo a través de las fronteras alemanas. Por favor, Adi, piénsatelo. El hogar es el hogar, aquí estaremos. Mientras tanto, escríbenos cuando puedas. ¿Cómo va la nueva composición? Con amor, mamá.
Amigos, espero que les haya agradado, que siempre el contenido que les traemos les haga leer más. Y hablando de leer más, recuerden que ya pueden comprar la revista del mes en revistalemas.mx dedicada a los gatos. Hay muchísimos lectores que tienen un amor impresionante, un poquito de misterio con los gatos. Ya haremos en el futuro, a lo mejor el próximo año, una edición de perros, pero en este caso los ganones son los amantes de los gatos, y los que no nos encantan, o más bien no les entendemos muy bien, es una invitación para que tengamos más abierto el corazón a ellos. La portada les va a gustar. Si quieren verla, aunque no hayan ido ahorita a una Gandhi, está en revistalemas.mx, y en gandhi.com.mx la pueden comprar y se las mandamos por 25 pesitos a su casa. También pueden comprar los números anteriores. Recuerden que está el sitio mascultura.mx, donde tenemos notas, trivias, reseñas, adelantos, carteleras y los eventos Gandhi en mascultura.mx, y nos pueden seguir en @revistalemas en TikTok, X, en Instagram, y en Facebook estamos como Más Cultura de Librerías Gandhi. Entonces ya nos tienen por todos lados, tienen 3 años de podcast, tienen 15 años de revistas para leer, y todos los días seguirnos en nuestras redes. Gracias por todo, les mando un abrazo muy grande, nos escuchamos la próxima semana.